Alrighty, so lately I've been wanting to play a good sim game in space, but not a colony management title, but more so immersive first-person game that's also taking place in space. So I decided to browse around and I've played very popular games like Elite Dangerous, Space Engineers, Stationeers, and although Stationeers sort of scratched that itch for me slightly, it still wasn't quite enough because it was too grindy and hard to learn. So I did even more research and discovered games like Void Crew, and with that game I felt like I was getting a little bit closer, but it wasn't quite still enough, simply because it was more multiplayer focused, and often than not, I like to play solo games, and there was also no combat in that game at all. So I scratched that off my list pretty quickly, and that lasted for a couple of days until I discovered Star Trucker, and that's when I felt like I completely nailed my search. Yes, it still doesn't have the combat in the game, and it's more like a truck simulator more than anything else, right? But there was that immersive gameplay system that I really wanted to feel and have in the game. Star Trucker is in early access and it still needs a bit of work to shine, but that didn't stop me from enjoying the game. It reminded me a lot of Pacific Drive with the visuals and immersive gameplay as far as like seeing and interacting inside of your vehicle. And although Pacific Drive is a bit more immersive when it comes to just vehicle interaction, the lack of open world made Star Trucker feel way better. Star Trucker, on the other hand, feels more like an open world game, and that's what truly stood out to me personally. I think what made Star Trucker so special to me was having the ability to completely leave your truck and be able to fix and patch certain damages caused by you. Completely outside of your truck, you put your spacesuit on, and then you go out through your airlock system to fix whatever needs to be fixed. On top of that, I loved the stress that came with it. It wasn't anything overboard, but just enough for you to feel the pressure. As you get in your seat, you'll have a couple of things and a couple of charts to keep your eyes on. Whether it's gas, your battery, any external damage, while still maneuvering and trying to deliver freight on time or in one piece. And once you neglect any of those indicators, that's when your journey becomes a whole lot more challenging. This is not a survival game, or it's not considered to be a survival game. Once again, it's more like a truck simulator. You can die in this game 100%. Even though there is no hunger or thirst. Going back for just a second when I said don't neglect some of those indicators, for example, one day my battery died, which was regulating my gravity, and everything inside of my cockpit was floating and causing a massive distraction while I was delivering a package. Something I can't stress enough about Star Trucker is its immersive feel and experience that you get as a player. Every time you make turns or try to come to a complete stop, you just feel the weight of the vehicle, as well as you see all the Joy-Cons move along with your hands. And that's something that I wish to see even in No Man's Sky. Instead of just sitting on your seat and being able to just look around, the ability to press every button while you're just operating this huge machine in space gave me a sense of freedom and satisfaction. The visual aspect of the game goes a long way as well. Every time I'd leave my cockpit and look around my surroundings, I felt so fragile and useless. The only time you feel like you belong to this universe is when you get inside of that cockpit. Every time I had to patch my external damage, I just felt like I was so vulnerable outside of my truck. It's as if I was stranded in the middle of the ocean, black ocean, by myself. If I was looking around underneath my feet while I was floating, you see nothing but blackness. And that's how I truly felt in this game, but instead of seeing blackness, you see the beauty and reflections coming from numerous different objects in space. Let alone when you see the planet Earth and you're right above it, it's simply breathtaking. The gameplay of Star Trucker is fairly repetitive. It's nothing crazy, and that honestly applies to every truck game, not just the Star Trucker. But if you don't mind the repetitive side of things, and you're here just for the journey and more of an immersive gameplay, I think it's a pretty solid game with a huge amount of potential. Once again, it is still in early access, but the immersive gameplay felt way better than Elite Dangerous, and that should probably tell you something.